We at the CPR Worldwide Media Network, your constitutional patriot radio station, would like to take a moment to reach out to a portion of our listening audience. To the NSA, the mainstream media, to liberals masquerading as conservatives who would like to see us off the air, and to those who are spinning their wheels trying to take us down, we have a special message just for you. At the CPR Worldwide Media Network, we're happy to be your 24/7, 365 obsession because, while you have your little panties in a wad, we're speaking truth to power, telling real conservatives what you don't want them to hear, the truth, and we're not gonna stop. Now then, back under your collective bridges with the rest of your fellow trolls, and oh yes, thanks for listening to CPR.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
Listening to Right Side Patriots on CPR Worldwide Media.
We the people.
Welcome to Right Side Patriots on CPR Worldwide Media. Craig the Movie Guy. No, not Craig the Movie Guy. That's the old radio name. Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot. Diane Sorey from the Patriot Factor. And folks, we've got one hell of a Wednesday show planned for you today. You have tuned in on a lucky, lucky day, folks, because coming up later in this very hour, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West will return to the show. Our good friend, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. Diane, you excited for Alan to come back today?
I sure am. You know how I love Alan, and you know what I wish he would do.
Well, yeah, what we wish he would all do. You know, I mean, the thing of it is, you know, we love to see Alan run for the White House. And, yeah, we probably won't get into that today. But, you know, the last time we had him on the show, we asked him to come back maybe a couple of weeks ahead of the election to talk about this midterm election and the importance of it. And, true to his word, the Lieutenant Colonel will join us at the bottom of the hour to do that very thing. We're also going to get into the Ebola situation, and it is becoming more of a situation, but maybe not in the way y'all think it is. Kind of makes you wonder, huh? We're also going to talk about ISIS before we get done today. You know, this whole thing with Ebola is getting weirder by the minute. And we've got some breaking news on this, and we're going to get to that. But before we do any of that, what do you say we wake up our moderate Muslim intern high in the mountains of Tora Bora, deep inside a cave?
Could we wait a second before we wake him up? Can we give him another 30 seconds to sleep here?
Sure, why not? What do you got?
I just want our listeners to know Craig and I experienced a lot of trouble today because of the 2 articles that we wrote. We have been stopped by posting, not on Facebook, but on alternative venues, which normally we have no problem with. Our articles today were very hard-hitting. And right now, my boards are showing we are having some trouble with the program. Craig is breaking up. I don't know if I am. So people, if we do drop out, just know that the show is going to continue and it'll rerun again probably immediately, I would think, or sometime today. We just want you to know this because the alphabets, especially the CIA, our good friends over there, they are not happy with Craig and I today.
No, they are not. No, and those 2 articles, by the way, folks, we are going to get into in depth in this show. Excuse me, I think I've got the Ebola.
Oh my God, no!
We are going to get into those a little bit later in the show today, folks, and so you want to be paying particular attention all day long to what we've got for you. Like I say, it's going to be a hell of a show today. It's going to be a wild ride, but we're going to get through it.
Yes, now Muhammad can rev up his camel.
Let's see if he's awake. Muhammad, are you there? He says his girlfriend, the one humper, was running a bit of a fever yesterday.
Oh no! And the camel's going to come here? Oh dear.
Well, it's a different camel.
Oh, okay.
His girlfriend is not the Intercontinental Ballistic Camel, but Muhammad, that Ebola first kind of presents itself with a little bit of a fever, Yeah, he says he's aware of that. He says he is taking, out of an abundance of precaution, certain steps to avoid any possible exposure to Ebola, which means he'll be sleeping with the goat.
Absolutely.
Rather than the one humper. Can you send over on the Intercontinental Ballistic Camel today's quick hitters? And there they are.
And I got mine.
All right, let's see what we've got here today. Well, how about this? It was, about a week ago now that a second kid, a teenager, 18-year-old kid, was shot and killed by police in St. Louis. Not in Ferguson this time, but in St. Louis, which is, basically same place. I mean, it's across the river. That's the only difference.
Yeah, it's a suburb.
It's a suburb, yeah. And so, of course, immediately, and this kid, the cops said the kid had a gun. The kid was shooting at the cop. The cop shot back, hit the kid died. And the kid's cousin, purportedly, said, he didn't have any gun on him. He had a sandwich.
Yeah.
Kid had a sandwich. Well, the police recovered the 9mm sandwich at the scene of the shooting. And today, Diane, the gunpowder residue tests are in. The kid had gunpowder all over his hands and his clothes.
Yes. This is just another case of white on black crime that is reported, but they're not reporting that the kid was actually the perpetrator. They're making another black youth into a hero, and the cop the villain. But this time, forensics is proving they're full of crap.
Well, the kid had a record a mile long. He was also purportedly wearing an ankle monitoring bracelet while he was out on the street shooting at the cop. And now the GPR, the gunpowder residue tests, are in. He had it all over him. So I'm sorry, cousin, but that wasn't any sandwich the kid had in his hand.
Not at all. But the cop is still gonna be vilified. Pretty soon you'll have Jesse Jackson opening his big mouth, Al Sharpton opening his big mouth, and you'll have Obama saying this, if I had a son, he would look like, this kid.
Well,
we know it's coming, folks, so just be prepared. Have your bomber bags ready to puke in.
This whole thing, of course, spurred a whole new round of protests and violence and more arrests and everything else, because why? the kid shouldn't have been shot at. Just because he was shooting at the cop was no reason for the cop to be shooting back. That's what they want you to believe.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Next.
Next. In Houston, this is very strange. Houston, Texas, they have a new city ordinance there. And this new law says that if you are a cross-dresser, if you're a guy that likes to dress up as a woman, you can now use women's bathrooms. And vice versa, by the way. If you're a woman that likes to dress up like a guy, you can use the guy's bathroom.
Oh, dear.
Now, that in and of itself is interesting, but that's not the real point of the story here. Apparently, the Houston City Council has sent out subpoenas to various churches and their pastors demanding that they are able to inspect ahead of time any sermon that is going to be delivered in case the sermon criticizes the new law.
I think this is a perfect example of gross overreach. Forget the law, that the law itself is absolutely asinine. I can understand if either a man or a woman is undergoing the procedure, the sex change procedure. But just because you're dressed in the clothes of the opposite sex, you get to use their bathroom. Come on, what was the city government thinking? There's more important issues than this bullshit. But the main thing here is that they are now going to monitor what pastors say, what they say in a private sermon to their congregation. This is a gross government overreach. This is a total infraction on the First Amendment. I'd like to know, where is the ACLU on this case?
Well, now the mayor apparently of Houston is a lesbian.
Okay.
And she is afraid that the pastors of local churches in Houston are going to use this new law or ordinance, whatever you want to call it, as a reason to go out and preach the anti-gay message. Now, Diane and I both are on record as saying, we don't care. You're gay, you're straight, it's who you are. Live and let live. Okay?
Right.
There is no room for this anti-gay hatred, no matter what you do. But certain churches are very anti-gay. We get that, okay? If you go to a church and that's what they want to preach, fine. That's your choice. That's their choice.
Yes.
Okay, but this mayor in Houston apparently is very afraid that they're going to use this to enhance their anti-gay message. Well, here's part of the problem, and it's not just the churches down in Houston that see this as a potential issue, let's say. What if you've got perverts who just want to be in the women's bathroom when women are in there? So they're going to dress up, guys are going to dress up like women just to hang out in the women's restroom.
Exactly.
Now, according to the law, that's fine. According to me, that ain't fine.
No.
That should not happen.
You have to remember something about this whole thing. All of this comes right before the elections again. More diversions. This is a diversion story, guys. No one is forcing anyone to go into that particular church. No one is forcing the congregation to stay if they don't like what the pastor has to say. This, bottom line, is an infringement on the pastor's rights of free speech. They can say anything they want as long as it doesn't incite violence or the overthrow of the government.
Well, just like the wrong Reverend Wright up there in Chicago yelling, goddamn America,
right?
And hate the whiteys and, whatever else it was. He has a right to say it. I mean, it's stupid, but he has a right to say it.
Exactly. And these pastors, although I don't agree with their hate message, they do have a right to say it, especially in their own churches. Who does this mayor, and I don't care if she was gay or straight, Who does she think she is butting into a church's business?
Look, this is a way for liberals to oversee the church. That's all this is. This
Yes.
is the crack in the door that they're looking for. They'll put a foot in the door here, and then they'll try to expand it, and they'll expand it beyond churches. They'll say, well, city government run by liberals, we have the right to censor anything anybody is going to say in a place of their choosing.
Yes.
That's where I have the problem here.
Yeah, this is wrong on so many levels. This goes beyond the gay issue. This is an infringement on somebody's right to free speech. This
That's
has
right.
nothing to do with the gay issue anymore. This is beyond that.
Yeah,
And
this
I'd
is-
like to know, where is the ACLU? They're the big champions of the First Amendment. Or are they only going to defend the First Amendment when it's for those on the left?
Yeah, well, I think you just answered your own question.
I think so too. Well, that was more of a statement than a question.
Yeah, it was rhetorical in nature.
Yes.
Well, let's see what else we have here today. Oh, looky here. The Dutch are in the quick hitters today. We don't get a lot of news about the Dutch, but apparently a biker gang of Dutch bikers.
The No Surrender Motorcycle Club, it's called.
No Surrender. That's a good name for a motorcycle club. Okay, but they have taken up guns, and no, they're not going to the nearest concert to cause trouble. What they're doing is they are going to go join the Kurds and fight against ISIS.
You know what? All I can say is God bless them, because their hearts are in the right place. I mean, come on. Yesterday you had Turkey, who was supposed to be part of NATO, who was supposed to be our allies, bombing the Kurds instead of bombing ISIS. So I hope these guys just blow some muzzy butt out of the air. And they're going with Kalashnikov rifles, which are heavy-duty things.
Over there in Russia, they call those Kalashnikovs.
Kalashnikovs, whatever. I'm not fluent in Russian.
I'm not either, but I'm fluent in gun.
I know how to shoot the gun. I know what guns I like. I know which guns I have, but these foreign guns, I'm not familiar with the names.
You got to hand it to them. Bunch of guys in a biker club saying, you know what, we've had about enough of this. We're going over. That's how they talk. That's how the Dutch talk. That's a Dutch accent, by the way.
Okay.
We're going to go over there and kick some muzzy ass.
Yeah.
And they're picking up their Kalashnikovs.
Yes.
And they're heading over there to help the Kurds. Now, the Kurds have their hands full. Now, what do you think the Kurds are going to think when, a bunch of Harleys come rolling in?
Do you want to know something? I think they will welcome them with open arms. Remember, out of the groups in Iraq and in that area, the Kurds were the most, for lack of a better word, westernized.
That's right.
They were the ones that were a little more of accepting of Western society.
Mm-hmm.
They know what the motorcycles are. They know, I guarantee you, they know what these people are coming there for. And I say, go for it. Just go for it. Kick some muzzy butt, kick some ISIS butt, and more power to you.
Now, here is the takeaway from this particular quick hitter, folks. Obama will not arm the Kurds. The Dutch bikers will.
Yeah.
Think about
sad,
that.
isn't it, guys?
Think about
Isn't
that.
it
Obama
sad?
will not lift a lily-livered finger to help the Kurds as they fight ISIS, as they fight for their very lives. But a bunch of Dutch bikers are willing to go over there. Obama is sending our military to fight the wild Ebola. The Dutch are sending their bicycle gang to fight ISIS.
Well, you know why, basically, Obama is like he is. Not only because he sides with the enemy, but because his goal is to take out the government of Bashar al-Assad.
Right.
That's his goal. And he wants the new Syrian army and those groups to take control. However, the new Syrian army and those groups, guess what? They are the enemy, guys. They're Al Qaeda. They're Al Nusra. They're Khorasan. They're all tied in together. Bashir al Assad, as bad as he is, and he is a dictator, he ruled his government under under secular rule. He is not an Islamist like we
Right.
think of Islamists. Obama is. So Obama would rather take out Bashir al-Assad than take out the real enemy. It's that simple, folks.
I'm just wondering if the Dutch bikers have a few to spare. They could go over and surround the White House.
Give them a good scare.
I'm just saying, you know? This doesn't seem like a bad idea. And finally, in Oklahoma, we've got a woman in Oklahoma, lives in some little neighborhood there. She is fit to be tied. She is offended. She is offended because her neighbor has put up a Halloween display in his yard, as he has a right to do. And in part of that display, Diane, he has tombstones.
Yes.
And one of those tombstones has Obama's name on it. The woman is offended.
You know
by
what?
this.
Tough crap. I'm offended by this woman being offended.
You know, here's the funny thing about this, folks. The tombstone has on it a question mark for the date of birth and is blank for the date of death.
Exactly. It's a decoration, lady. Get over yourself.
Well, she is just pissing and moaning. That needs to be taken down. That's not appropriate. I'm offended by that. You know, where was this woman when somebody else in Oklahoma got their head taken off a couple of weeks ago?
Nowhere to be seen. Miss Jamelia Phillips kept her mouth shut when Colleen was beheaded. But because there's a Halloween decoration with Obama's name on it, she's totally bent out of shape. And what's even more upsetting about this is that it actually is making the news.
Well, I know, but it's funny. I mean, it's like, you know, the Obama rodeo clown.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, oh, that's racist. No, it's not. You know, we had videos. We showed videos on at least I did on in the National Patriot of a George W. Bush rodeo clown.
Yes.
Nobody said that was racist.
Well, I'm hoping that Dwayne Dawkins, that's the man who put them up in his yard, and the Obama tombstone is not the only one. He has them all over. He made like a little Halloween graveyard with some skeletons and things.
Yeah.
I hope he stands strong and does not take this down.
Well, I'll tell you what. Here's my advice, folks. You know, we're a couple of weeks away from Halloween, so why doesn't everybody put one of those in their yard?
Hey, not a bad idea.
Everybody do it. You know, get a little tombstone thing, make it out of cardboard, make it out of styrofoam, whatever. Write Obama on the top of it, put a question mark for the date of birth, and just leave blank the date of death.
Tombstones across America.
That's what I'm saying. I think that would be a fantastic idea.
I think so too. I think I'll do one this weekend.
Why not? You know, we had that thing up here in Nebraska a few months ago where they had the 4th of July parade, and somebody had an outhouse with Obama standing next to it. And of course, you know, the liberals and socialists, oh, that's racist. You know, no, it's not. It's Obama standing next to the Obama Presidential Library. You know, I mean, the only thing the outhouse was missing was one of those little top knot things you see on the mosques. That's the only thing that was missing. But, you know, this lady, she's fit to be tied, and I say good for her, and I say better for him.
Exactly.
You know?
I just hope he stands strong, because I want you to know after this show today, we expect to see tombstones across America.
That's right, folks. And, you know, we're going to take our bottom of the hour break here just a couple of minutes early, Diane, because coming up at the bottom of the hour, we have our friend of the show, Alan West. The Lieutenant Colonel will join us to talk about the upcoming midterm election. Folks, this is one of the most important elections you'll ever take part in.
Yes.
And we asked Lieutenant Colonel West if he would come on and talk about this. He was quick to agree to do it because he also understands the importance of this. So That said, let's take a quick break. We'll get a word from our sponsors, our good friends at Citizens United. And Diane, we have a very special theme song now.
Yes,
for the Lieutenant
and
Colonel.
guys, this song was my idea, and this song is dedicated to Lieutenant Colonel Alan West from
Now-
We the People of America.
Folks, Diane and I will be back after this.
I believe that every single one of us has what it takes
to win back-to-back gold.
Ski faster than any other human.
I believe it's possible to overcome fear.
I believe
it's possible to destroy stereotypes.
To start over.
To be the toughest.
The strongest.
The bravest in the world.
When we work together, we can make it all possible. That's why Citi has donated $500,000 to its Every Step of the Way program, an initiative created to help future athletes reach their full potential through sport programs that inspire us.
Like figure skating in Harlem.
like youth enrichment services, like Team for Tomorrow.
The Team USA Stay on the Slopes initiative. Now spread the word and help decide how much of that money goes toward
Offering personal support and financial assistance to Olympians in need.
Promoting the growth of hockey in the U.S.
expanding the sport of luge into new regions.
Support for wounded service members.
Join Team Citi and let's turn a world of potential into reality.
Go to citi.com/everystep and help decide where the money goes.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
And welcome back to Right Side Patriots. We are having a little technical difficulty here. Let me see if I can get Diane back in. And we're waiting to hear from Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. We should have him here any moment. And let's see here. Where did Diane go? Well, this is just very strange. I think the alphabets are messing with us here a little bit today, folks. Let me try a little something here, and we'll get back to Diane's story here in just a minute. And here we go. All the gyrations we have to do just to put on a show here. It's absolutely crazy. Okay, here comes Diane. Hopefully.
Hey,
there she is.
Hi, Alan.
Okay, now I'm waiting for Alan to call back in. The Lieutenant Colonel is going to call back in, and hopefully we'll be able to keep everybody on the line at the same time. That's going to be our basic plan here.
Are we on?
We are on, Diane, and we're just waiting for the Lieutenant Colonel to call right back in because for whatever reason, maybe it's the alphabets, we don't know, we're having a little trouble. And
well, we warned that at the top of the show. I'm having trouble at this end.
Well, you know, we're all fighting this thing together, and we're going to get through this. Like I said, folks, if you just bear with us, we are going to get the Lieutenant Colonel back on. He said he would call in. What we want to talk with him about today, folks, is the election coming up, because this election is so dire that we have to get the Senate, that we have no choice. We have to take control of the Senate. Now, I will say that I will be happy if we take it by one, if we just get the majority. I would love it if we got a super majority.
I think we're going to get a majority, maybe not a super majority, but I think we will take the Senate by at least 3 to 4 seats, maybe more.
Wow, so you're making that prediction.
I'm predicting it because, you know, all these diversions that they're throwing out at us, including Ebola, these are diversions, but they're backfiring on the left because they're actually getting people angry. The blame is being placed where it belongs, on Obama. Remember, this election is a referendum on Obama, on his politics and his policies, no matter what anyone says. Obama is on the ballot.
Well, and so are so many other things. I mean, this is really the liberal agenda that we are fighting in this midterm. Now, we did it, and we did it convincingly back in 2010. Can we do it again?
I know I've got my fingers crossed for it, and I just don't know. But you know what? We are getting things like the alphabets fighting us. We get the left fighting us. We get their talking heads fighting us. We get the lies from their politicians. We get it all. And yet, I still think in my heart we're going to triumph in the end.
Well, I'll tell you, a lot of the polls are closing, and that's good news because, it started out with the liberals way, way, way out front, and now the R's on the ballot are starting to close in on them. And, I mean, in some of these races, it's going to be tight when you get down to the end. I mean, it is going to be tight.
Craig, you're breaking up again. I think we are being hit.
I'm pretty sure of it.
Okay.
At this point.
Has Alan tried to call back in again?
No, he has not.
But you got him on the first time when I dropped out.
When you dropped out, I had him while we were in the break, and then I was trying to get you back, and nothing I was doing was getting you back on. And so
okay,
Alan,
you know what? If worse comes to worse and you can't get me back on, it's more important that Alan is on.
Well, and I don't know. He said he was going to call back.
Why don't you try calling him?
Well,
if you lose me, it's fine. It's more important that Alan get on and get his message out.
Yeah, and he said he would call back in a couple of minutes, and so I'm hoping that he will.
Okay.
But folks, on the off chance that we don't get him, and he can call in any minute now. It's any time is good if he can call back in. But we're fighting the alphabets today. We're trying to keep the show live on the air. But we I'll tell you something else. We need to have him back on again anyway to talk about ISIS. And I would love to have him and Mudar Zakran on during the same show. I'd like to have them on together.
I think we can arrange that. But right now, Craig, even if you have to drop me off, get Alan on.
I can't. I am not able to call him.
You're not? Okay. Let me see if I can. Oh, dear. Now the alphabets won't even give me access here. Oh, we are having fun today, guys.
What a fun show we're having now, huh?
Oh, yes. Damn. I had him locked in here, and it just went down.
Wow.
We are getting hit. We are definitely getting hit.
Well, I'll tell you, folks, we apologize if we cannot get the Lieutenant Colonel back. We really, really apologize.
He will come back. He will come back. There is no question about that.
Oh, yeah, we'll have him on. If we can't get him today, we'll have him on again at some point. But right now, for whatever reason, we're not getting him. So
we had him, and it went down. The people need to understand we had him. We were talking to him during the break, and the alphabets are probably got us.
Anything is possible. Anything is possible at this point. We're just not sure what went wrong there. But folks, I'll tell you what let's do. Let's see here. Let me see what I can find here. Maybe what we need to do is just take a moment here. We'll play a little bit more music, and hopefully we'll be able to get Lieutenant Colonel Alan West back on the show here within a couple of minutes. So folks, bear with us. We're going to take another quick break, play a little music for you, and then Diane and I will be right back.
I'll go find a network wants to treat me right. Y'all can take the change and stick it out of sight. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. Hey, are you ready for some good news? We're gonna take back our country. Well, it used to be easy, get a place, build a house. Now the EPA said no, that's the home of the blue mouse. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. We're gonna use some common sense and we're gonna take back our country. Well, they've beaten to death that pole race horse. This politically correct thing has run its course. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. Hey, are you ready for some good news? We're gonna take back our country. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Bing. Lots of divorces from showing them bangs. Why don't you mind your own business? That's good advice. Mind your own business. Dad got it right. But if you mind your business, then you won't be minding mine. Every sign says for sale, for lease. Price reduced. Make an offer, please. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. Hey, are you ready for some good news? We're gonna take back our 'cause we're gonna take back this country. Hey, Barack, pack your bags, head to Chicago. Take your teleprompter with you so you'll know where to go. So move it on over, move it on over, move it on over, move it on over, move over, little dog, 'cause the big dog's moving in. Hey, 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 move it on over, move it on over, slide it on over, move it on over. Hey, are you ready for some good news? Are you ready for some good news? We're gonna take back our country. That's what I'm talking about, baby.
And welcome back to Right Side Patriots. Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot. And folks, we are having trouble. We now have Lieutenant Colonel Alan West with us on the line. We have lost Diane. Diane, if you're listening, please call in on the call-in number. We'll try and get everybody connected that way. But Lieutenant Colonel, welcome back to Right Side Patriots, sir.
Well, it's good to be back with you, and I appreciate that, Craig.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's always so informative when we have you on the show. And, you know, last time you were on, we asked if you would come back and talk about this upcoming election, this midterm election in about 3 weeks, a little less than 3 weeks now, because this is just a direly important election to this country right now. And unfortunately, we seem to have a lot of people who are still pushing third-party voting rather than voting for the person on their ballot that has the R behind their name.
You know, you're absolutely right. And my big concern in some of these races is that you have that libertarian candidate or independent candidate that is in there, and they're really there supported by a lot of Democrat, hidden money to just be spoilers. We saw that happen in the gubernatorial race for Chris Cuccinelli there in Virginia. And, he lost by about 1.8, 1.9%. But you had a libertarian candidate that was running in that race, had about 8 to 9% of the vote. And when the records, the FEC, the financial reports records were scrutinized, they came to find out that there was a pretty good-sized liberal lobby that was behind that. So, this is a critical election because we have to get a conservative legislative agenda going. We have to, stand up against this president and not allow him to continue to have Harry Reid as an obstructionist over there in the Senate. But, again, there's a lot of close races out there, although I do see a lot more that are competitive and are trending more Republican than they are Democrat. And you can always tell the desperation of the other side when you look at the ads that, Wendy Davis is running down in Texas with the wheelchair. The ad that is out there saying that the Republicans are to blame for Ebola, and this billionaire liberal by the name of Tom Steyer, his little secretive group, has put out a memo saying that since they can't get the Democrats enthused, they're going to try to discourage the Republicans from voting.
The whole thing, when you look at it as a nationwide, because this really, you look at it and people say, well, it's just my members of Congress or just my senator that's on the ballot. It's not really a national election, but it is a national election because all the things we deal with. Yeah. All the things we have to deal with are on the ballot. Obamacare is on the ballot. Whether it appears on your ballot or not, it's there. Our open border and border security.
He said, the president said, my policies are on the ballot this November. So by his own admission. And when you look at the fact that you have someone such as the Kentucky Secretary of State, Allison Lundergan Grimes, who won't even say that she voted for President Obama. She's doing everything. And, it's interesting. They have now pulled out their television advertising from Kentucky. Was that a sign of punishment against her? Could possibly be, or they just see that as a too far gone case to try to get that Senate seat away from the Republicans and get Mitch McConnell beat, who, 3-4 months ago, it looked like that was possible. But when you look at Obamacare, the employer mandate is still lingering out there, and, people are still losing jobs. Gasoline prices are coming down, and that's thank God to fracking and oil exploration on state and private lands. But this Ebola crisis, the crisis still with Benghazi, Bo Bergdahl, the ISIS problems that we're having, workplace violence instead of jihadist attacks in this country. I think today they said the president's approval rating is down at 40%.
I can't remember any time where it has dropped that far and the party of the president winds up winning even in a midterm election. And normally in midterms, they don't go for the party in power.
No, you're absolutely right. And when you look at that 6th year of a presidency, you're going to see this type of thing happen, and especially when you have a person like Barack Obama who won't stay off the television. He continues to have his White House spokespeople, tell blatant lies, as well as the State Department spokeswomen who are up there, with more deceit than anything else. So, he is on the ballot. And like I said, he admitted that he is on the ballot. The Republican Party did not have a national agenda. You did not see any candidates really touting a nationalized message, but the president has given them a gift. And I hate to say it, but the voter turnout will probably be low. Estimates are anywhere from about 38 to 40%, which is very disheartening. The 2012 election cycle turnout rate was only 58%. So, you got to struggle to try to get people out there, but I think that all the enthusiasm polls show that the conservatives, Republicans are far more engaged than the Democrats, who the hope and change has failed.
Well, Diane and I both, in her blog at The Patriot Factor, my blog at The National Patriot, and here on Right Side Patriots, we are stressing so much that people need to get involved, but not just in this election. They need to get involved and then stay involved, because our founders and framers never entrusted, nor did they envision a voting populace that would simply vote and walk away from the responsibility of holding those who were voted into office accountable.
You're spot on. And, there's a great quote that I like to share with people, and it says, nothing so greatly impels a man to regard the interests of his constituencies than the certainty of returning to the general mass of the people from whence he was taken, where he must participate in their burdens. That was George Mason at the Virginia Ratifying Convention back June 1788. So our founding fathers never meant for us to have, career politicians, and they always wanted to have an informed electorate. Now, I don't know if they envisioned a 300 million person United States of America, but they did leave us an incredible framework, in our founding documents, being the Declaration, the Federalist Papers, and the United States Constitution, and some great quotes that we can study from them. And they admonish us to be engaged. They admonish us to not allow for nepotism and cronyism and political elitism to take a hold in this country, but unfortunately it has.
Well, and I think our founders and framers understood full well that left alone, any politician, even the best person that would be elected to a seat, would eventually become part of the system and not part of the people.
No, you're spot on again, Craig, because the longer that folks remain up there in Washington, D.C., the more that they become too wedded to D.C. itself and, the K Street lobbyists than they are to their constituency. And that's why I think term limits is a very important thing to have in our federal government system. But, if you're going to enact something like that, which is an amendment to the Constitution, that's why I believe that, state legislatures are very important, and we have to get constitutional conservatives as well as conservative governors down at the state level, because most of our states have balanced budget amendments. They have term limits there, and they're still functioning. They're still operating. But those two things are missing from the federal government level. Look at the problems that we have.
Boy, it just doesn't seem to be getting any better. But, all of that said, I have such high hopes for this election coming up in a few weeks. But yet I have seen our side of the aisle snatch defeat from the jaws of victory before. We did it in 2012. And there's a big part of me, I have to say, Lieutenant Colonel, that worries that we're about ready to do that again.
Well, I really believe that you do have a very angry, concerned electorate that is out there. You know, we just found out that the second healthcare worker down in Dallas, Texas, has been infected with the Ebola virus, and they continue to see this bungling coming along from the Obama administration and the Centers for Disease Control. So I think that you do have a core group of individuals that are very engaged, very activist, and they're going to be out there to vote, and they're going to let their voice be heard. And I think that it's an election of principle more so than it really is an election of party. You really don't have, a GOP with candidates out there that are, stomping through the minefield. So that is one good aspect of it. But I am concerned about the lack of a coherent national message from all of the GOP candidates out there, be it House or Senate.
Now, what do you think that message should be?
Well, I think the message should, be very simple. When you look at growth, opportunity, and promise. We don't have economic growth here in the United States of America. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, all the gains of the year to date have been wiped out. So there's a volatility there. We don't have a free market economy. We have a government spending and a printing of money driven economy. So we've got to get back to small business growth and get Americans back hired. So that would be one of the first things is tax reform, regulatory reform, monetary reform, and government reform that spurs economic growth. Then I look at opportunity, and I think it's very important that we talk about the best key to opportunity is a good quality education, and we need to push for more, charter schools, school choice, school voucher programs for parents to make the best decision for their children and their future opportunities. And as well, we have to talk about the promise of America. And the most important promise of America is that we keep Americans safe. And instead of decimating our military capability and capacity, we should be talking about how do we build a 21st century military that can contend with the, regular nation state actors like Russia, China, Iran, Qatar, Turkey, but also how do we contend with these non-state, non-uniform belligerents that are out there. And the other part about the promise of the American dream and securing the American people is also securing our border. And we have to stand up against illegal immigration and get Americans back to work first and foremost. And we should talk about the lawlessness of this president. He's constantly violating the Constitution, and we need to have a House and a Senate, a legislative branch that will keep the executive branch in check.
All the things that you just mentioned are the things that you do not hear liberals in this country talking about right now leading up into this election. You don't hear boo about any of that.
No, of course not. They don't want to talk about that. As a matter of fact, out in Colorado, all you hear Senator Mark Udall talk about is war on women. You're starting to wonder if, Senator Udall is a drag queen out there. He's so concerned about that issue. But no, and that's the thing. You should be talking about all the things that the liberal progressive socialists don't want to talk about. And you should be talking about the kitchen table issues that are affecting the American people.
And that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're doing here at Right Side Patriots. Diane's been doing it on her blog. I've been doing it on my blog. We're being distracted, and we're being distracted intentionally. This White House would rather have stories out there about the falling apart of the Secret Service, about this Ebola thing, trying to raise it to a panic level in this country, and about the nonsense things that, and the social issues. They love it when we focus on the social issues. This election needs to be about politics and policy, and the social issues need to go to the back burner.
Yeah, but I will say this though: there's a way to make the social issues important as far as policy as well, economic policy, especially when you look at the decimation of the family units, especially in the black community where you have 72% out of wedlock birth rate, 56% out of wedlock birth rate in the Hispanic community. When you see that decimation in our inner cities, that leads to more, government dependency. And when it leads to more government dependency and the expansion of a welfare nanny state, what does that mean for the largesse of the American taxpayer? It means that it's getting doled out. So again, it comes back to how economic growth and really talking about building up strong families, strong American families, and not allowing for the redefinition of marriage, but stand up for marriage as it is, so that men and women can raise children, for the growth, opportunity, and promise. But look, someone like me, I say there's no problem with civil unions, but why do we need to redefine a fundamental institution in this country and indeed in civilization? That's more of a political gimmickry than anything else.
Yeah, that is something meant to get conservatives to crawl all over themselves and complain about it. If they called it a civil union, I don't think anybody in the world would have a problem with it. I mean,
Absolutely, nobody.
It is what it is, and they're entitled to the same rights we are: life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness.
And if that's how you see your pursuit of happiness, fine. But your pursuit of happiness should not destroy someone else, or it should not destroy one of the fundamental traditions and foundations of this constitutional republic, and indeed of civilization, because men and women come together as a family unit for the procreation of a society. That's it. That's fine. But when you don't make that very common sense argument, you look at what has happened out in California, where they have marriage licenses now that just say spouse one and spouse two. We're redefining something. We're remaking something, all for the political cronyism to appease a small minority group. And we should be able to stand up and articulate that. But like I said, bring it back to how that affects the roles and responsibilities of governance and government. Because right now, my big concern is you have too much legislation from the bench. You have too much judicial activism. They're not out there doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they're tramping on the rights of the states, which in a system of federalism, that should not be happening.
Yeah, and we see that all the time. I mean, it was just a matter of a month or so ago, we had one federal judge gave a thumbs up and another gave a thumbs down on the exact same thing. And now, of course, that is going to wind up heading to the Supreme Court. And unfortunately, we also have activist judges sitting at that level too.
That's correct. And I believe that, once again, you were so astute when you said we have to talk about policy and how that policy affects, the everyday middle-income American family. I call them Joe and Jane six-pack, because, that's how you make the connection. That's how you talk about the growth, opportunity, and promise. And, my concern is really that, the GOP is successful. They're able to win the Senate, expand their majority in the House. Then come January 2015, they're the dog that caught the proverbial car, and they're trying to figure out what their legislative agenda is. They should be talking about their legislative agenda right now.
Well, and I'll tell you something. If we can get the majority in the Senate, we have a very good chance of getting a lot of the 360-plus bills that are gathering dust on Harry Reid's desk onto the floor for a vote, and a lot of those deal with the economy, with jobs, the things that we really need in this country. Then
you took the words right out of my mouth.
In 2016, we could run on our record.
That is correct, and that's why it's so important to have that way ahead that you are articulating to the American people. Harry Reid has been blocking a vote on the Keystone XL pipeline. What a great thing to say. We get back the majority in the Senate. One of the first things we're going to do in the first week or the second week is we're going to vote on the Keystone XL pipeline, and this is what it means to the American people. This 1, 2, 3. And that's how you communicate a vision, a policy agenda, a legislative purpose and direction. And, the other side can't go there. Talk about what you want to do to repair the broken school system that we have here in America, and how you want to, start looking at how we reshape education policy in the United States of America and really get it back down to the local level. Once again, you're empowering parents to be able to decide what's best for their children. What a winning issue. And you know that the left cannot go there, because the teachers' unions will just hang them if they try to talk about school choices and vouchers and things. So you got to talk about what they don't want to talk about.
Well, and that's what we keep trying to do. Now, I will ask you this. After this midterm election, and let's hope that we can get people out there to vote on the politics and policy issues that affect this country and will bring this country back, that will start steering the ship back into the right direction, so that by 2016 we can run on the record of we are turning this country around and we're doing it for the better, and that will make things in 2016 so much easier. Now,
it will.
I want to ask you this. After the election, would you come back to the show and talk about the situation with ISIS and all that's going on in the Middle East? Now, we have, and I don't know if you've heard him on the show or not, we have a good friend over there by the name of Mudar Zakran. And Mudar is the Palestinian People's Movement leader. He's very pro-Israel. He's a Jordanian Palestinian. He has. I'm
surprised he hasn't been killed.
Well, we all are, and he, we speak with him quite often, not only on the show but aside from the show. There was an attempt to poison him just a few weeks ago.
Sure.
And but he is just a fantastic guy. He has his finger on the pulse over there. And we're hoping maybe to get you and Mudar Zakran on together to talk about the situation and what really needs to happen over there to start straightening that out for Israel.
I'd love to do that. Count me in.
Have you ever spoken with Mudar Zakran before?
No, I have not.
Well, I'll tell you what, he knows who you are because we have talked about that. And
Okay.
and he says he is a stalwart supporter of yours because of your support for Israel, and and he would absolutely, I think, welcome the opportunity to discuss those ideas with you. So maybe after the election, we can get your people and we can get Zakran and we can line up a time where we can get all of you together on the show.
Well, I'm all in, Craig. That's not an issue with me.
Well, we sure appreciate that. And I'm sorry we lost Diane today, Lieutenant Colonel, but I want to thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, for being our guest again today on Right Side Patriots. Always a pleasure to have you on the show, sir.
And I appreciate it very much, Craig, and give Diane my best.
And all our best to you and yours, and we'll be in contact soon, sir.
You got it. Have a great one.
You too. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, becoming a more frequent guest on Right Side Patriots, and we're always happy to have him on because, boy, he speaks truth to power, and nobody can clear up the issues the way Lieutenant Colonel Alan West can. He has just a fantastic way of getting to the heart of the issues, and we couldn't be happier to have him on from time to time. We hope you enjoyed that interview. If you missed any part of that interview, folks, please tune in tonight at midnight Eastern as we recast this entire show, warts and all, because let's face it, we have been having trouble keeping everything together today. We're being hit from different alphabets, let's say. Folks, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to see if we can't find Diane Sorey and bring her back to the show. Don't go anywhere, folks. Right Side Patriots will be back after this.
Citigold is an account from a global bank with over 200 years' experience, offering international banking expertise across over 100 markets. Your dedicated investment consultant adds a unique personal touch to your banking experience. Complimentary lifestyle offers like Marhaba service and free global money transfers help you save on time and money. At the core of Citigold is your dedicated relationship manager, personally looking after your financial needs. Be it lifestyle privileges like golf, lounge access across the Middle East, or worldwide privileges, Citigold provides you with a rewarding experience. One card is all you need for all your Citibank accounts. As a Citigold client, you benefit from our international expertise and global reach. Citigold is more than an account. It's a personal banking service offering exceptional privileges, customer service and recognition worldwide. So wherever you are, Citigold will be with you.
We at the CPR Worldwide Media Network, your constitutional patriot radio station, would like to take a moment to reach out to a portion of our listening audience. To the NSA, the mainstream media, to liberals masquerading as conservatives who would like to see us off the air, and to those who are spinning their wheels trying to take us down, we have a special message just for you. At the CPR Worldwide Media Network, we're happy to be your 24/7, 365 obsession because, while you have your little panties in a wad, we're speaking truth to power, telling real conservatives what you don't want them to hear, the truth. And we're not gonna stop. Now then, back under your collective bridges with the rest of your fellow trolls, and oh yes, thanks for listening to CPR.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
Listening to the second hour of Right Side Patriots on CPR Worldwide Media. And Diane is back.
We the people.
And we're back on Right Side Patriots. When I say we're, I mean we. Diane and I are both here. Diane, sorry, from the Patriot Factor. Me, Craig, from the National Patriot. And Diane, I have to apologize, but we're getting attacked today. We're getting pinged around, and I could either have the Lieutenant Colonel or you, but I couldn't get both of you on at the same time.
Hey, guys, I just want you to know that when we knew we were having this problem, I told Craig it's more important to get Alan on the show than it is to get me. We needed to hear what Alan had to say. I know Alan. I could contact him, when I have to, but it was more important to have him on the show today so you could hear what he has to say.
Well,
but as you probably know, right after the election, we're going to have one hell of a show for you.
Well, and let me tell you, Diane, because you were waiting for me to try and drag you back into the call, and I couldn't do it, and
it's
you
okay.
Couldn't. Well, I know, and you couldn't hear the show, so let me tell you that Alan and I discussed your weird aversion to meat.
Oh,
no! We spent the entire segment of the show talking about the fact that you will not go near red meat.
Oh, no.
Alan was appalled. He was appalled.
Oh, well.
No, look,
I thought he knew.
we talked about the election. We talked about the importance of it. I'm telling you, Diane, he knows how to cut through all the bull and get right to the heart of these issues. It was absolutely a terrific interview. It would have been better had you been there.
Of course.
Of course. It would have been better had you been there and I been lost in cyberspace. But nonetheless, we got the interview done. We're going to recast the entire show tonight at midnight Eastern time. So if you missed Alan West, You'll have a chance to hear us trying to get him, losing Diane, getting Diane back, losing Diane again, getting the lieutenant colonel on the show. You'll hear it all.
This is courtesy of the alphabets, guys. Yeah. Craig and I have been having major problems today. Like I said at the beginning of the show, posting, getting our message out. They are slamming us left and right because today Craig and I did 2 separate exposés that they are not happy with at all.
Not at all. The good news, Diane, he has agreed to come back after the elections and talk about the Middle East, ISIS, the situation in Palestine with Israel, and to do it all with Mudar Zakran.
That's going to be a very special show, guys, because Craig and I have become personal friends with Mudar. As many of you know, I know Alan, but Craig and I have also become personal friends with Mudar. And this man is a Palestinian Jordanian who is pro-Israel. Very unique. The man has been tried in absentia in Jordan and found guilty. This man literally runs for his life at times because he supports Israel. He is also a huge supporter of Alan West. And the two of them together on one show, guys, it will be amazing.
I'm hoping to have 4 of us on that show at the same time. You, me, Mudar, and the lieutenant colonel, all together on one show.
That would be really nice.
It would be unique.
We'll get it worked out. It had to do, guys. We knew, Craig and I said to our station people, we would be getting hit today. We knew it this morning when we had trouble with the posting. We knew it. So this was not unexpected. I just glad that Craig made that decision. Get Alan West on. I don't matter. What Alan says matters, and I'm so happy, though. I know Alan agrees with what I said, that this election is about numbers. Yep. We can fix everything when we take back that Senate. But if we don't take back that Senate, nothing is going to matter anymore.
Well, let's get into this Ebola thing because, Diane, this thing is getting stranger by the minute. Now, you've got an article out in the Patriot Factor today on it, but right before the show, we got some breaking news. We teased it at the top of the show, and I think we need to let that cat out of the bag right now because this is getting stranger by the minute.
Yes, the first thing that happened was earlier today, and I got hit again also for this. I had posted, isn't it strange that the second nurse who was in protective gear got Ebola when the man's family, when Duncan's family, who he was vomiting on and coughing on and the bleeding on and the whole 9 yards, not one of them on day 18 has tested positive for Ebola. Yet this nurse who just had contact with the first nurse that was sick suddenly has Ebola. Now, what's even odder is that here it is on October 13th. She flew back from Cleveland to Houston. Apparently, she had gone there during that time to visit. She knew the night before that she had a fever. She knew on her way to the airport that she had a fever. Yet, she willingly and knowingly chose to go on that flight, knowing she had been exposed to Ebola, and yet she did it anyway. My article today deals a lot with stealth jihad. This is a form of stealth jihad, folks. Whether they did it unintentionally, I don't know. Duncan was deliberately. He was determined to get here no matter what. This nurse, just because you're a nurse doesn't mean you're dealing with both oars in the water, it seems. But
you would think though, Diane, that a nurse would understand. I mean, you've been around somebody who contracted Ebola from Duncan. Okay, you're around the first nurse. You worked with the first nurse. So, and you're in the hospital where you had the Ebola patient, Duncan, who died from it. And then you suddenly get a fever. Now, you would think that a nurse, somebody in the medical profession, a nurse, would say out of just nothing but caution, check me out right now.
Exactly. And
but
she didn't do it.
She got on an airplane. She got on a Frontier flight. Now the CDC is asking all 132 people that were aboard that flight to get checked.
Yes. But what's sadder about this, guys, everybody right now, and this is in my article, there are 2 points in my article that we know why I'm being attacked today. The first point I brought up was back in 2010. Well, let's go back even further. In 2005, during the Bush administration, the CDC had come up with a plan to stop infectious deadly diseases from entering this country. It was a provisional quarantine that would allow for involuntary confinement of airline passengers for up to 3 days if they exhibited symptoms of certain infectious deadly diseases like smallpox, yellow fever, diphtheria, pandemic flu, infectious TB, cholera, and Ebola. Now they drew up this whole thing. Bush pushed it and pushed it, but guess what? It didn't go through. Why didn't it go through? Because the airline lobbyists, good little liberals that they are, opposed the regulations, saying they would be too expensive to implement. And then the civil liberties unions jumped in and said it infringed upon individual rights. So from 2005 till 2010, it languished. Bush did what he could. He couldn't get it through because of the opposition. Now, in 2010, the CDC brought it back, gave it to Obama, tweaked it, whatever. Obama EO'd it, executive ordered it out of existence. He said, no way. And the quiet insinuations that were made was that it had racial overtones because for the most part, these diseases come here from Africa. Now that's point one. So when everybody is quick to blame the CDC, don't blame them completely. They did try, and they are being stopped every step of the way by the Obama administration. Now, the second point that I brought up, and this is the one that I know I'm being hit for. Ebola. Now, we all know it's a virus. It's hemorrhagic fever. It's very nasty. But what a lot of people don't know is that the Ebola virus is actually classified as a biosafety level 4 agent, as well as a category A bioterrorism agent by the CDC. Now, if conditions are right, and this would have to be done in a lab, Ebola can be weaponized. Now, they do have to get over one thing. Like I said in previous op-eds, Ebola is killed by the air. It is killed by oxygen. It only has a certain lifespan. If they can get past that, and guess what? They've done it in the labs, guys, but we don't tell anybody that. Obama doesn't want anybody to know that. It can actually be weaponized. And all it would take is for an enemy or a plant to get a certain amount of the virus. Then they could mix that virus in a bodily fluid mixture of sorts, put it in small bombs that when detonated could spray active virus 30 feet or more. And that would possibly infect people when it came in contact with their faces, cuts, or their hands that they touched to their eyes or nose or mouth. But here is the way, and this got me in a hell of a lot of trouble. The easiest way to weaponize Ebola, you don't have to do anything like bombs. All you have to do is get volunteers to be injected with Ebola. They pass the airport screenings because they come here before the incubation period is up. They don't even come here, guys. They go to Central America or they go to Mexico. And they come in through our open borders. They settle into the population. When the first symptom starts to show, they go out into the public, they vomit, they pee, they bleed, whatever, over the population. All it takes is them to infect 1 or 2 people. Those people might not know what's happening. They then go and infect other people who infect other people who infect other people. This is what's known as stealth jihad. They are doing what they have to do before the population is aware of what they're doing. I mean, how many times have you gone out in public with your children or something, and a child will vomit, and you'll walk around it not thinking anything of it? Or somebody in the grocery store will vomit. They'll come, they'll clean it up. It sprays a little here and there. How are you going to know if it's that type of thing or if it's Ebola infected? You're not.
You know, it's a very odd situation when you think about it, because our southern border is wide open. I mean,
Yes.
it is wide open. And we know
Yes.
that ISIS fighters have been caught at the border, some in California, some in Texas. 14 of them in all. But if 14 are caught, how many weren't? I mean, that's what
Exactly.
you have to ask yourself. So the idea that you know, look, you can get people who hate the United States to volunteer for damn near anything. So the idea that it would be hard to get people to volunteer to be injected with Ebola is just plain nonsense, because hell, you got people over there volunteering to blow themselves to bits.
Exactly.
To kill
And they would be
Westerners.
paid.
So,
They would
and their
probably
families.
be paid. Their families would be paid. How many times have we heard suicide bombings in Israel, and the families are happy as clams because they've been paid? This is the stealth jihad, that the way that Ebola will come into this country. It's not going to come from Duncan, who was ground zero, even though he was the first one to do this. That will be contained, but it's going to come this way. It will come through our southern borders. Remember, enterovirus, look what it's done to the children of our country. 2 children have already died of a disease that has not been here before. There were no immunities here. There was palliative care and fingers crossed, and 99% of the children who made it. But 2 children to date have died, maybe even more that we don't know about. And it all came in with the illegals, whether the Obama administration, whether the alphabets want to admit it or not. We know that's how it came. That is how Ebola will come in here. Craig and I are not alarmists. We understand how the 5 cases got here. We understand the conditions in Africa, why Ebola has a great medium to brew there. It's going to brew there until the whole mindset, culture of West Africa, of Africa, changes. It will stay there.
Right.
It'll wax and it'll wane. Our country is not indigenous to Ebola. We do not have the conditions that breed Ebola. We do not have the animals that carry Ebola but are not infected. We just don't have it. So the only way to get an Ebola epidemic in this country is to physically bring it in. How will they try to bring it in? Through our unsecured borders, and Obama doesn't shut them. He doesn't close the borders. He doesn't stop the flights in and out of West Africa. Remember, this is the man that said, and I will quote this, and I got hit big time for this: my larger role is my obligation to make sure Africans are safe. Well, guess what? Obama, his goal, his truth, what he needs to do is protect the people of the United States, to protect the country of America, not Africa, not Africans. Because if that's what he considers his prime responsibility, if he will not abide by and uphold the oath of office that he swore to, then it's high time Congress impeach his sorry, traitorous ass. And after they impeach him, arrest him for aiding and abetting the enemy.
Now, here is something that Diana and I, though, cannot understand, and this goes back to the very beginning of this conversation. Okay, this Duncan guy, before he goes to the hospital, he's living in an apartment with several family members. And he was infected with Ebola while he was in that, as he was living in that apartment. He was infected with it before he even came here.
Yes.
So he's living in the apartment. He's got Ebola. The family members are all around him. This guy is vomiting. He's probably oozing. He probably had explosive Ebola-ria. And And nobody in the family came down with it. Nobody. It's been 18 days. Nobody has shown any effects of it. Yet he gets to the hospital, and he's in the hospital. One nurse gets infected, and now a nurse that came in contact with nurse number one, nurse number two came in contact with nurse number one. She got infected. She's a nurse, a medical professional. She should have been highly aware of the situation, and yet, even with a fever, and we found out that she had a fever before she got on that airplane a couple of days ago, with a fever, knowing that she had been in contact with a woman who now has Ebola, she gets on the plane, and now 132 other people. Something stinks
and she
from
don't
the ground
care.
up.
She did not care. This is stealth jihad, guys.
Something
This
stinks.
is how Ebola will get here.
You know, we don't know why she got on the plane. We don't know why she didn't have herself checked out the instant that she started to have a fever. As a medical professional, you should know, if you've been around anybody with Ebola and you develop a fever, out of precaution, if nothing else, you have yourself checked out immediately.
Yes.
And she didn't do it. So something there is stinky. And we're trying to figure out what it is. But, you know, this whole thing stinks from the ground up because, you know, rather than preventing airplanes from coming from Ebola countries to the United States, rather than quarantining people who are coming from those countries, Obama leaves that door wide open. Rather than sealing our southern border, he's leaving that door wide open. And yet every day, he now has a press conference about Ebola. Something ain't right here, folks. Something ain't right.
Something just, what's that saying? Stinks in the state of Denmark? I got a better one. Something stinks in the Obama White House.
Well, yeah, we know what that is.
We know what that is. But folks, this is serious, but not for the ways that people thought that the epidemic would just happen from Duncan. No. We have a nurse, like Craig said, who knew she was exposed, and yet she deliberately, willfully, willingly, and with malice chose to get on that plane and possibly infect over 130 people. If this woman survives, and there's a good chance she will, she's in stable condition, she needs to be arrested and charged. I'm sorry. I feel sorry for the first nurse because we're not sure exactly how she got it. Was protocol broken? We don't know. But this nurse and Duncan, I have no sympathy for because they willingly and deliberately got on that plane.
I think the answer to the entire thing is complete body condoms. I think,
hey, the Burqa garbage bags might be good for something, right?
Yeah, but we'd have to make these clear because, you know, you got to be able to see where you're going.
That's true. Well, that's true. Yeah, you can't even have your eyes showing. But you know what, guys, we can kid to some degree. But this is serious, but not for how people thought. This is weaponization of Ebola. This is bioterrorism.
And we're not talking about, you know, the aerosol type of weaponization. What we're talking about is a person becoming the weapon.
Yes. And that's what it appears is happening and will happen more coming through our southern border. All they need is a few of them in Central America or Mexico. People get infected, but yet remember, there's a 21-day incubation period up to. Those people come into our country. Remember, Obama's got the welcome mat rolled out at our borders. They come here, they get processed. They're hacking, they're sneezing, they're puking in the detention centers, but they get sent elsewhere. This is how Ebola is going to come here.
Folks, we need to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be talking about ISIS. But first, a word from our sponsors, our good friends over at Citizens United. and a little bit more music for you. Hopefully, when we come back, Diane and I will both be here again.
Yes.
That is the goal, and we'll see if that transpires. Folks, don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Why do cities shine so bright? It's the glow of opportunities, of ideas bouncing off one another, of countless people, every one of us, striving to succeed. Right now, in cities everywhere, ideas are being born. New thinking that will put us in awe of what people are capable of. That's what lights cities up. And helping people and their ideas to burn even brighter, so that communities, businesses, and you and I can grow. What if a bank made that its job? For more than 200 years, Citi's job has been to help empower people and business. Now, around the world, it's wherever people gather, wherever ideas come alive. It's wherever you are. The world's city.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
I'm just an old black sheep from the family tree. I'm now a vet and a victim of society. Hell, I stood by the gun just to keep us free. Now my own damn country's turned its back on me. You wanna judge me by my leathers and the steel I ride? Well, you don't know me. You need to step aside. Don't tread on me. You don't tread on me. From the Revolution War to the Middle East, I come back to a country that's lost its peace. And now here I stand on the promised land, free and a slave to Uncle Sam. You wanna judge me by my leathers and the steel I ride? Well, you don't know me. You need to step aside. Don't tread on me. You don't tread on me. Well, you think you know me, but you haven't got a clue. I stood and fought so that you would not have to. Don't tread on me. Yeah, don't tread on me. You wanna judge me by my leathers and the steel I ride? Well, you don't know me. You need to step aside. Don't tread on me. Now don't tread on me. Now don't tread on me. Now don't tread on me. Yeah, the old Middle East is like a man down. The old WSKIHMIA. And our fighting soldiers in a foreign land.
And I'm back on Right Side Patriots. Diane, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, you paused for like a half a second. Just about gave me a coronary.
No, because my things started jumping around here.
You know, I'm telling you, folks, the alphabets just love us. Right Side Patriots, Craig Andreessen, Diane Sorey, back with you for one more segment if we can muddle through it. And we do apologize for any of the audio difficulties that I'm sure people are having listening to the show, but it's actually been a very good show, what you could hear of it. You know, and we did have Lieutenant Colonel Alan West after a fashion. We did manage to get him on the show today, and if you've missed any part of this, you want to tune in tonight at midnight, CPR Worldwide Media, midnight Eastern Time. We will rebroadcast the show, and again, we will rebroadcast what there is of it on Saturday after our live Saturday show at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So lots and lots to do. Oh, by the way, folks, if you didn't check her out last night, you got another opportunity tonight. V. Wright has joined Right Side Patriots and our little merry team here at CPR Worldwide Media. If you didn't catch V. Wright's show last night, you want to catch it tonight. It's called WTF, and I think we all know what that stands for. So check it out tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern Time, WTF with V. Wright and, oh gosh, now I'm drawing a blank on her co-host name. Estevez.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Jose Estevez. Jose Estevez.
Yes, that's it.
I was having a brain fart there for a minute. Does the Ebola give you brain farts?
You know what, Craig? I think we're so enmeshed in this Ebola that it's sort of rotted out both of our brains here a bit.
Well, and you know, I'm telling you, I've had the opportunity to chat back and forth a little bit with V. Wright. She's absolutely fantastic. She'll tell you exactly what she thinks.
Just like us.
Just like we do. And she holds nothing back, and we love her for that. So if you missed her last night, check her out tonight, V. Wright, and welcome her to CPR Worldwide Media. Okay, well, that's all the time we have. No, I'm just kidding. Folks, we need to talk about this situation with ISIS, and we alluded to this a little bit earlier in the show. The Dutch bikers are going to go fight ISIS with the Kurds. Obama will not arm the Kurds. Obama thinks the way to fight ISIS is to arm the people that are working with ISIS. He's arming the Free Syrian Army. These are the very people that turned Nick Foley over to ISIS for his beheading. Yes. Now, for all we know, they have turned over others that they've held as hostages too. And simply, this is not a good idea. Now, here's one of the things, and I've got this article out today about Obama being the dancing puppet for ISIS. But here's one of the things that really struck me as I sat down to write this article yesterday. Back in June, on June 23rd of this year, I wrote an article for the National Patriot where I was talking about the WMD that was, sorry liberals, found in Iraq at Al-Muthana. And literally thousands of artillery shells found at Muthana. And so I re-quoted two very important little paragraphs from that article at the beginning of today's article. And, you know, I said, if ISIS can find a way to deliver this stuff, they are going to wreak havoc in the Middle East. Now, this is what I said back on June 23rd of this year. Well, over the weekend, folks, ISIS used mustard gas, and there was mustard gas over 600 100-pound mustard gas artillery shells at Muthana. They used mustard gas against the Kurds at Kobani. And the effects, if you're not familiar, of mustard gas are horrific.
Yes.
Absolutely horrific.
Yes.
Now,
the thing that people need to know about this, though, is remember X number of years ago when JWB said there were weapons of mass destruction, bioweapons there, and everybody, oh no, oh no, no, Bush doesn't know what he's talking about. Guess what? This is them, guys. They did exist. But is the media exonerating Bush?
Oh, no.
Apologizing?
No. No, 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 no. We'll have none of that.
Exactly.
You know, the common call, and it's still out there today. You still find liberals saying it today. Idiots. Bush died. People, Bush lied. People died. Bush lied. People died. Bush told the truth.
Yes.
And people died over the weekend because what he said was there was there.
Exactly.
All right. Now, this happened on Sunday. This is something very interesting, folks. Let's jump ahead one day. Monday. On Monday, Bush, now you got me saying that. Obama comes out, sorry, President Bush. Obama comes out, and he has Susan Rice make the claim that Turkey has as part of the coalition, of Obama's coalition, has offered their air bases to be used to stage attacks against ISIS in Syria. So this comes directly from the Obama regime. Okay? Susan Rice, you remember her from the YouTube video on 5 Sunday shows, all right? Comes out on Monday, says, yep, Turkey has agreed. We've got to deal with Turkey. We're going to be able to use their bases. We're going to attack ISIS in Syria from Turkish bases. Turkey then came out 2 hours later and said, wait a minute, that is a lie. We have no such deal, and we will not be allowing our bases to be used to attack ISIS in Syria. Now, to put an exclamation point on this, folks, on Sunday, Turkey bombed the Kurds that were fighting against ISIS. Now, I want to put this in perspective. I want you to understand what this means. It means that a member of Obama's coalition, remember this grand coalition he claims to have, Turkey is a member of that grand coalition. So a member of the Obama coalition is bombing the very people that are trying to defeat ISIS. What does that tell you?
It tells you that we have a traitor in the White House, but it also should tell you something that Craig and I have been saying since we've been on the air, and that is there is no difference between Al-Qaeda, al-Nusra, Khorasan, Free Syrian Army, Hamas, Hezbollah. These groups are all the same.
They're all
the
one
Muslim
and the same.
Brotherhood, they're all one and the same. They are all tied in together.
Now, think of it this way, folks. Think of a snake with multiple heads. They all spring from the same body, and that body is Islam. Make no mistake about it.
Yes.
What we're dealing with is a multi-headed snake, and a very venomous snake. We're talking about people who are beheading and murdering, shooting people by the thousands. For anybody out there who still, for some unbeknownst reason, believes Islam to be a religion, much less a religion of peace, name me one religion that bases their entire existence on genocide.
There is none.
None exist. Islam is an ideology of hate and murder. That's all it's ever been. From the word go, that's all it's ever been. Now, I put this article up today, and of course, I got in a little trouble for this too, because I'm connecting the dots in this article, and I'm showing you that everything Obama is doing when it comes to ISIS is meant to cover for the fact that he is actually supporting ISIS. Okay? So when you read the article in the National Patriot, thenationalpatriot.com, keep that in mind. He is supporting, he is their puppet. When they tell him they want something, he makes sure he gets it for them.
Yes, he warns them ahead of time when they're going to bomb. He does everything to go against our side. Here's another little fact, guys. When Obama was doing all the bombing of the Kurds, the Kosovo, up in that area, When they were bombing the hell out of them up there, they did 10,000 bombing runs. Do you know that he has done 267 bombing runs against Iraq and ISIS/Khorasan? Now, that right then and there should tell you something. The man is bombing empty warehouses. He's bombing empty training camps. He announced weeks before that we would be coming in and bombing. He is giving his brethren warning to get out. Yeah, I'll bomb a little bit here. I'll save some political face. I'll look like a hero come election time.
Right.
Everything he does is divert and deflect to keep our attention away from November 4th. We cannot let that happen, people. Don't you think it's a little bit of a coincidence that Ebola rears its head now?
Yeah, I mean, think about that, folks. I mean, think about all the stuff that's going on, okay? You've got this ISIS thing that's just gaining steam. And I mean, people are upset about it. And all of a sudden, we have a distraction called Ebola. All of a sudden, we have this guy named Duncan in Dallas who has Ebola. All of a sudden, Obama is having an Ebola press conference every day.
Yes.
All of a sudden, the CDC is having Ebola. I'm telling you, the media is farting Ebola.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, you can't turn on the TV right now. I mean, I swear to God, they're going to make an Ebola survivor show, like Survivor Ebola. You know, the winners get voted off the island.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's gotten to the point where it's absolute insanity. And the more ISIS is doing, the more Ebola we're hearing. You're not hearing what's going on over there with ISIS. I guarantee you that the Dutch biker gang is going to do more damage to ISIS in a matter of 48 hours than Obama has done in a month.
Yes.
I mean, this is how ridiculous Obama's campaign against ISIS is. And
there is no campaign. No. That's the thing.
You know, it's a false campaign. It's a false narrative. It's just like before the 2012 election when Obama kept coming out and saying, well, you know, Al-Qaeda's on the run. Al-Qaeda's decimated. Al-Qaeda's dead. GM's alive. You know, it's the same thing. You know, I mean, all you have to do is go back to the beginning of this year. He was calling ISIS the Junior League.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And, I mean, you know, and now look at it. He knew then it wasn't the Junior League. Then when ISIS rears its ugly head and starts going on their 7th century rampage, then he says, well, you know, the CIA and the intelligence community let us down because they didn't give us accurate intel. Then we find out that he got accurate intel. As a matter of fact, accurate intel was part of his daily briefing that he only attended 42% of, but even those 42%, it was there. He simply ignored the advice he was being given by his military and by the intelligence community.
Exactly.
I mean, this whole thing is an engineered caliphate. And the chief engineer of this caliphate is not over there. He's got his ass up in the air 5 times a day in our Oval Office.
Mm-hmm.
All right? I mean, this is what I'm putting these dots together when I'm writing the article yesterday. And so, of course, when I publish it today, the alphabet's, you know, he knows what's going on. And so, you know, here we are with today's show. And, you know, then we add Alan West to the mix. They love Alan West at the White House, don't they?
Don't they? Well, here's something else, guys. I'm trying right now to post my op-ed today about the stealth jihad and the weaponization of Ebola. And I'm trying to post it on 5 sites that I couldn't get it up this morning. Now, these are not Facebook sites. These are sites that are totally free of Zuckerman's control. I can't get it up on one of them.
See, something ain't right, folks. Something ain't right here.
No.
You know, I mean, we know we're being watched. I mean, we know the alphabets are watching us all the time. But, you know, both Diana and I today came at this regime from 2 very different places. And, you know, all arrows point right into the Oval Office. And they're not happy about it. They're not happy we did it on the show. They're not happy we had Lieutenant Colonel Alan West as a guest on the show talking about the election, talking about the distractions to the election and what should be done in this country to bring this country around. You know, I guarantee you, if we did a whole show on the disaster that is the Dow Jones over the last couple of weeks, they'd have us strung up for that.
Yeah.
Well, no, the economy's doing fine. Businesses are doing fine. No, they're not, folks. Have you checked your IRAs lately? Have you checked, see how your investments in the stock market are doing over the last couple of weeks? You know, Alan West said it on the show earlier today. He said every single gain that has been made on the stock market up to this point of the year has been wiped out over the last few days. Every gain.
Exactly.
They're gone.
Yes. And he lies about the job numbers because he doesn't take into account the people that have left the workforce. They've left looking for a job because there are no jobs for them. Jobs are going to illegals, folks. That's what Obama has mandated, that it's okay to give jobs to illegals. Take them away from we Americans. That's okay. They're also not factoring in the jobs that were full-time that are now part-time jobs. They are lying from the moment they wake up until the moment they go to bed.
It's an amazing situation, folks. That's why the vote is so important this November. We need to take back the Senate. If we can take back the Senate, we can start turning this ship around. No one election is going to do it. No one senator is going to do it. Come 2016, no one president is going to do it. But as we discussed with Lieutenant Colonel West, our founders and framers envisioned and entrusted to us a system by which we, the people, would stay engaged, and we, the people, would hold those who we elect accountable for their actions. We can start that process again this November on the 4th in the midterm election by voting for whoever has the R behind their name and gaining control of the Senate. We do that, we can start turning this ship around. We can start putting the clamps down on this regime and the pen and the phone and the moo.
Yeah, we can actually pull his phone out of the wall and render this man politically impotent from doing any more harm to our country. We need the supermajority for that. But guys, let's aim for that. If we aim for the supermajority, even if we get the majority, that's good too.
Folks, we got to take the Senate back. We've got 3 weeks, 1 day shy of 3 weeks, and we will be voting in this country, and we're counting on everybody to get out there and do what they can to get those people elected who are on the ballot and have the R behind their name. The social issues, we can catch up with those, okay?
Yes.
But if we don't take the Senate, if we allow this regime and the liberal agenda to run rampant for the next few years, do you think you're ever going to get a handle on the social issues that are important to you? The answer is absolutely not.
No, they will be thrown by the wayside, never to be resurrected again. Because what people forget is if we lose, Harry Reid will probably keep control of the Senate, and you know he doesn't let anything Republican come to the floor. So the social issues will mean nothing, will mean absolutely nothing. They will never see the Senate floor. They will never come to vote.
Politics and policy. That is what this election is about in 3 weeks, folks. Politics and policy. If you don't like the way this Ebola situation is being handled by the regime, vote to change it in November. If you don't like the way ISIS is being handled, if you don't like the way the border security issue is being handled, if you don't like the way jobs and businesses are being handled, if you don't like the way your health care is being handled in this country, vote to change it by voting for the person with the R behind their name on November 4th. That is how we begin to turn the ship around.
Yes, and don't let yourselves be totally distracted by the 24-hour Ebola channels. Please, guys, focus on politics and policy. We do have to keep an eye on certain things. Granted, Ebola, stealth jihad. But let's stay focused on the main issues. Obama's politics and policies, which are imploding, I should say, America from within. Policies that are stabbing our allies in the back. Policies that are aiding and abetting America's enemies. These are the things we need to stay focused on.
Folks, we're just about out of time today. We want to thank you for bearing with us through the alphabet attacks today. Thank you again to Lieutenant Colonel Alan West for being a special guest on the show. And folks, if you haven't done it yet, first of all, just go to CPRWorldwideMedia.com. Check every day to see who's on and when they're on. Got the schedule up there. Check in and see what you think about V. Wright and Jose Estevez on WTF. The Right Opinions, all of our great shows, folks. Diane and I will rebroadcast this show tonight at midnight Eastern, and we will be back live as live can be Saturday from 11 to 1 Eastern. Diane, time to say goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Well, when I was a kid, I'd take a trip every summer down to Mississippi, visit my granny and her antebellum world. I'd run barefooted all day long, climbing trees, free as a song. One day, I happened to catch myself a squirrel. Well, I stuffed him down in an old shoebox and punched a couple holes in the top. When Sunday came, I snuck him into church. I was sitting way back in the very last pew, showing him to my good buddy Hugh. When that squirrel got loose, went totally berserk. What happened next is hard to tell. Some thought it was heaven, others thought it was hell. But the fact that something was among us was plain to see. As the choir sang, I surrender all, the squirrel ran up Harv Newland's coveralls, and Harv leaped to his feet and said, "Something's got a hold on me!" Yeah! The day the squirrel went berserk in the first self-righteous church in that sleepy little town of Pascagoula. It was a fight for survival that broke out in revival. They were jumping pews and shouting, "Hallelujah!" Well, Harv hit the out dancing and screaming. Some thought he had religion, others thought he had a demon, and Harv thought he had a weed eater loose and he screwed the looms. He fell to his knees to plead and beg, and that squirrel ran out of his breeches leg unobserved to the other side of the room. All the way down to the amen pew where sat Sister Bertha Better Than You, who'd been watching all the commotion with sadistic glee. Should have seen that look in her eyes when that squirrel jumped her garters and crossed her thighs. She jumped to her feet and said, "Lord, have mercy on me." As that squirrel made laps inside her dress, she began to cry and then to confess to sins and make a sailor blush with shame. She told of gossip and church dissension, but the thing that got the most attention was when she talked about her love life. And then she started naming names. The day the squirrel went berserk in the first self-righteous church in that sleepy little town of Pascagoula. It was a fight for survival that broke out in revival. They were jumping pews and shouting, "Hallelujah!" 7 deacons and the pastor got saved, and $25,000 was raised, and 50 volunteered for missions in the Congo on the spot. And even without an invitation, there were at least 500 rededications, and we all got rebaptized whether we needed it or not. Now you've heard the Bible story, I guess, how he parted the waters for Moses to pass. Oh, the miracles God has wrought in this old world. The one I'll remember till my dying day is how he put that church back on the narrow way with a half-crazed Mississippi squirrel. The day the squirrel went berserk in the first self-righteous church in that sleepy little town of Pascagoula.